Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're going to be looking at this major 14-game slate on DraftKings for Friday night. We finally have just a nice slate to look at. I don't know about you guys, but Thursday, the breakup of slates that DraftKings did was just frustrating. The very staggered start times, the multiple just 3-game slates throughout the day. It wasn't too exciting, but finally, we got a nice large slate ahead of us here. Make sure you're paying attention to the weather tonight. There's just a lot of weather events going on, both with like rain, but also just like extremely hot temperatures that are going to be good for the bats. There are too many to go through right now, but it's easy to find online. Just check the weather for all these games. There could be a possible delay or postpone risk in there with a couple of these games. So make sure you check out the weather. Make sure you're paying attention to any of the late scratches, COVID. But right now, we'll just go through the pitchers. We'll kind of highlight the guys that I'm interested in, and then we'll go through the bats and be on our way. So Wheeler right up at the top, 10.3K. Got a tough matchup going up against Cincinnati. He is a workhorse pitcher. We know he's going to go triple digits. We know he has the strikeout upside, but again, he does have a tough matchup here against Cincinnati. There's a lot of good value in pitcher on this slate. So I don't think that Wheeler is going to be my top guy that I'm going to be looking at. Even in cash games, I don't think he's going to be my top guy. Just because, again, there's a lot of other great point per dollar pitchers, and there's a lot of excellent bats that we're going to be wanting to pay up for. So Wheeler is probably not going to be my top option on this slate. Urias, same thing. I'm not really too on him. Going up against the Mets. The Mets have struggled. They're kind of in free fall mode. But again, I'm not too interested. I like the guy below him a whole lot more, Robbie Ray, who's 9,200. So he's over 1,000 cheaper than Wheeler, 600, 700, I can't remember, cheaper than Urias. And I think he's in the best matchup of them. And we do know that, he does have that strikeout ability. The numbers haven't been there lately, but look at who he's faced. Those numbers were against Boston, and Boston. So solid offense. Seattle is not that. It is going to be nice hitting weather in Seattle tonight. I think I saw the temperatures were in like the 90s. So he does have that going against him, but I still think Ray, we know his ability. We know Seattle, they do strike out a lot. So Ray probably would be my favorite pitcher up in this top tier range on the slate. DeSclafani, don't know how long he's going to go. Please, Zach, nope. McGill, he's kind of like Urias. I'm just kind of like crossing this game out. I'm not interested in either of the pitchers. I'm not interested in either of the bats on that side because they are going up against decent pitching. I mean, he's not a fade by any means, but going up against the Dodgers, I don't like to play pitchers against the Dodgers. It pretty much comes down to that. Greinke, no. Snell had a fantastic, couldn't find that word, fantastic game last time out against this exact same Arizona team, 42.8 points. But man, Snell has just been one of those guys who you play him and he's going to get you a negative score, and you fade him and he's going to put up 30 points. So it's really tough to gauge what you're going to get with Snell. I'm not sure I would trust him in cash, but for GPP, he could be a phenomenal play just with, what his ceiling can be. But also because of his floor, you got to take some caution with it. Morton, I think Morton's my favorite play down in this range. Going up against Washington, a depleted lineup after all those trades. So I do like Morton here. He's got great K upside. He's got a nice floor. He can go deep into games. He hasn't gone to that pitch count in his past couple, but I think for guys down in this range, he's the safest play. Like I said, he's got a good floor. He's got a good matchup. So I'm definitely interested in him. He had 25 points against the same Washington team just last week. So Morton, probably my favorite in this range. Flaherty coming off the IL. Who knows how deep he's going to go into the game. Irvin, kind of the same thing. He's got a nice floor. He's got a great matchup against a depleted Texas team. So he faced them last time out, did very well against them. So I'm interested in Irvin. I'd lean Morton a little bit more. But if you want to, I think Morton's probably going to see more ownership. So if you want to pivot off of Morton, I think Irvin could be a great pivot play right there. Josiah Gray, no, I'd go with Morton and Irvin. You know, we know he has that K upside, but not interested. McClanahan, I think he's the guy next guy I want to talk about here. McClanahan going up against Minnesota team that just isn't really doing anything, especially after they lost their big bat in the trade at the trade deadline. So McClanahan, he's in excellent form. He's been striking out a lot of guys. This Minnesota lineup is not threatening at all. So 7.8K, great price tag, and it just continues to trend. Like I said, there's a lot of great pitching options and a lot of great point per dollars, which is something we haven't seen in the past couple of weeks. I feel like pitching has been priced up a little high lately, but on this slate, pitching seems to be priced down a little bit too low. So love McClanahan, Flexen new, ALZOLAY. I struggle with ALZOLAY. You know, he's had those home run issues, but he seems to have corrected them, but he can throw up an absolute dud. But he can do well. You know, the beginning of the season, he was doing pretty well. Now he's got a nice matchup against Miami in a low run total ballpark. So like he could go under owned just with how his recent form has been. But like he has the K upside. He's not going to be in my first GPP line. He's not going to be my second GPP line or third. But if I'm making multiple lineups, I could see, you know, he could be a decent pivot for you, but that's it. Scrolling on down here, Sandoval has been striking out a lot of guys lately. You know, last start it was the Dodgers, but look at other than that, you know, 6, 13, 9, 6, 7, 6, 9. For a guy at 7.3K, I think it's holding it out. So he's close to a 30% strikeout rate, if not higher in this range. So Sandoval's been striking out a lot of guys, but Houston doesn't strike out as a team. They're one of the lowest strikeout teams in the entire league. So you kind of have that going against him. So I'm not really too on him at all. I'm going to be going with the guys around him first. And that kind of leads us to Tyler Mahle, who might be the most mispriced guy on the entire slate. 7.1K. This dude was 5 figures just 10 days ago. 9.8K before that. He put up 32 points in his last game, and now he's 7.1. I don't know what happened here. I get, you know, Philly, their offense is coming to life. It's not the easiest matchup on the slate, but still, I mean, a guy with Mahle's talent, and he's getting away from that Cincinnati ballpark. I think he's somebody that you got to be paying attention to. He's probably going to be the most owned pitcher in this range. He's going to be super chalky just because of his price tag. So yeah, I mean, it's mispriced by DraftKings. If you do want to pivot off of the chalk from there, Gomber maybe, Minor is going to be going deep into games. He's got that high pitch count. He's going to be going to close to 100 points. Got, you know, look at this. He's got a nice form going on. He's got decent strikeout upside. St. Louis, they don't strike out often. Not the easiest matchup, but you know, they've been up and down all season. They can't throw a dud. I'm not going to like fudge the numbers here and say he's a fantastic play because St. Louis can throw a dud, but you know, if you really want to pivot off that Mahle chalk down in this range, and like he could be a great salary saver. As I said, there's a lot of great offenses that we do want to be, that we do want to be targeting today. So that kind of wraps up the pitchers. I'll go through them. Well, I'll just do it right now. Wheeler, fine play. He's not my top option. Same with Urias. Ray, he'd be my top play in cash for sure. Up in this top tier range. Snell, boomer bust. This dude put up 42 against Arizona last time out, but he can also throw a negative score against this exact same Arizona team tonight. Morton, probably my favorite play down in this mid-tier range. Irvin's right behind him. McClanahan, I mean, I guess, you know, he's kind of the same price, but McClanahan, love him as well. He's in great form against a Minnesota team that can't do anything. Mahle mispriced by DraftKings. You're gonna want to plug them in to your cash lines. And everybody else, you know, Gomber, Minor, probably the two pivots that you could look to if you want to get off of Mahle. So let's look towards the bats. First team that we got to be paying attention to is Boston. Now, remember, make sure you're paying attention to the weather. But Boston, their implied run total is nearly 7, and that might be the highest non-Coors implied run total we've seen all season long. But they got going up against Watkins. They're going up against that Baltimore bullpen. So really anybody from Boston is going to be in play here. It doesn't even matter. Devers is probably your top option, but still 5.8K is going to be pricey. But Mahle, mispriced at 7-1, you can easily fit him in there. But pretty much anybody that's going to be lining up for Boston tonight, you can plug them into your lineup and just be fine with it. So Boston, clear cut number 1 batting team of the slate. Second team I want to talk about is Milwaukee going up against Keller. Keller for Pittsburgh. Keller for Pittsburgh's just been atrocious at a major league level lately. So I'm definitely looking at these Milwaukee bats. As you can see, there is some rain concern with this game. But Yelich, Escobar, Adames, they're all very pricey. So it's going to be nearly impossible to get a Boston and Milwaukee stack there. But I think Milwaukee then could be a great pivot off of the Boston chalk. Boston's going to garner all the ownership in the bats tonight. So Milwaukee, they're similar price tags all the way up here to Boston. So they're probably going to be pretty low owned, but they're going to be in a great spot tonight going up against Keller. So I do like these Milwaukee bats as well. Tellez, you know, he's been a very popular value play lately. He is day to day. He got pulled after 1 at bat, I think it was like 2 nights ago. So make sure you're paying attention to the lineups. But if he's in, that could be a nice value play for you on the day. Next team we're going to be looking at is Tampa Bay. I can find Tampa Bay going up against Pineda. Pineda's really been struggling lately. Let me see. I'll pull up his logs for you. But Pineda's just been struggling. I don't know what's going on with him. He's going up against Tampa Bay here. Tampa Bay, who has a lot of strong lefty bats. I mean, look at this. He's only getting 3 strikeouts, 4 strikeouts, 1, 2. Like, he's just not striking anybody out. You know what? Is this when the sticky stuff kind of went away? I want to say it was more towards like here, like June 11. That's interesting. So maybe he's a guy who's been using the sticky stuff, and then they took it away, and he's been pretty bad. So I'm not too interested in Pineda here, but I love the Tampa Bay bats because of it, and especially those Tampa Bay lefties. I mean, even the righties could be good against him, but guys like Lowe, Franco, Meadows, you know, they're definitely top guys. Choi, and look at these prices. I mean, these are great prices. Some mid-tier guys that you can put in with a lot of upside. So I really like Tampa Bay here. It's kind of like a supplementary stack, or even just a main stack if you want to. But even as a supplementary stack, to be like, you know, I need just a guy in the mid-tier or a cheap range who has a nice upside and is a safe option. I would definitely be looking towards Tampa Bay here tonight. Atlanta is next team. Atlanta, you know, they're not a team that would be like smashing in like 1 through 5 here, going up against Gray. But I do think they can have some damage here tonight. I think they're a little bit pricey, all things considered. It's gonna be tough to kind of fit them in. I would much prefer Tampa Bay over Atlanta. But if you want to go with a couple of these bats, there is value to be found here. And you know, Washington, they just don't scare me. Their pitching staff doesn't scare me really here anymore. Toronto, they're obviously in play. Like I said, it's going to be very hot in Seattle tonight. I think the temperature's in the 90s. The ball is going to be flying. Flexen, you know, he's not a gas can by any means, but still, you know, Toronto, definitely a team that you have to be paying attention to. And again, you know, not that expensive. I know their top guys are crazy, but given the ability that this team has and this offense has and the weather conditions, I could see, you know, Gurriel, pretty cheap. Grichuk, pretty cheap. Even Hernandez at 4.8K. You know, he's a fan of mine. I've been playing him all season long. 4.8, I think he should be a little bit higher there. So I do like Toronto. if you want some cheap, just like super cheap plays, Minnesota here is scrolling through their salaries. Minnesota is darn cheap. McClanahan, like I said, he's in good form, but outside of Kepler and Garver, everybody else is lower than 4K. So Donaldson at 3.8. I mean, if you could just do a one-off of some of these guys, Arias at 2.7K, you could do a one-off with these guys and find some pretty solid value. Polanco possibly leading off 3.1K. That's nice value there. On the other team that is also super cheap and is in a all right matchup, going up against Alexander, I would go with Cleveland. Cleveland, they got their top guys. They are pricey, Ramirez and Reyes. However, below that, I mean, you get down to the 2K range pretty quickly. Miles Straw, 2.6, possibly leading off. You can make for a great value there. Mercado, Cleveland's just got a nice value in a nice, decent matchup going up against Alexander in a weak Detroit bullpen. So that kind of covers everything. Boston, they're going to be the super chalk stack of the day. Milwaukee, they're going to be a very popular stack as well, or at least should be, but they might lower some ownership just because they're similarly priced to those top Boston backs. Tampa Bay, I think, is in a great spot and might be one of my favorite point per dollar plays on the slate. And then we're looking for like Toronto, mini stack of Atlanta, and then Cleveland and Minnesota are very cheap one-offs that you could help supplement your lineup with. So that kind of covers everything. Thanks for watching. Again, please check the weather tonight because it looks like there's a lot of rain risk going on, and also just a lot of favorable hitting weather as well. So check the weather. As always, hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate all the views you guys have been giving us, and it does help us out when you hit that subscribe button and hit that thumbs up button with the algorithm and allowing us to provide all these free videos for you. So good luck in your contest, and we will see you in the next video.